Hey fellow nerds, it's Steph, and today I have to go do groceries, so I thought I would take you along with me and maybe talk about some ways to save some money. Since, as we know, these days, with the tariffs, with inflation, everything's just more expensive, and so, if we can save money on groceries, then we can save money on our life. Alright, so I just finished some work and the plan is to go to the grocery store and just do some groceries. Usually my weekly grocery budget, I like to stay around $60 if I can, but it really depends. Sometimes I'll spend a little bit more, sometimes I'll spend a little bit less. But anyways, I think there's a lot of tips and tricks for saving money when grocery shopping, which is kind of the topic of this video. One kind of basic strategy is to just pick a grocery store that's going to be more affordable for you. So for us, living in Toronto, we tend to go to No Frills, which is kind of like one of the more affordable grocery stores, because of course there's other grocery store options like Metro and Loblaws, but unless I'm looking for something very specific, or if it's right there and I don't have to spend more money on gas to go to a different grocery store, then I tend to just try and search up the closest No Frills, and there's a bunch of locations, so it works for me. So the plan is I am going to go to a No Frills. There's one 2 minutes away, so we are going to go there. Just to review some of my grocery saving tips, so going to a cheaper grocery store, having a grocery list beforehand, so know what you're making for the week, meal prep, have that list actually written down. I just use notes on my phone and try to stick to that list. Of course, sometimes, I'll see something and, I'll get that extra something, but typically sticking to your list is going to help save you money. 3, always remember to bring your own reusable bags, because nowadays, at least in Toronto, we don't do plastic bags. So if I forget to bring a reusable bag, then I'm gonna have to pay however much for another reusable bag, and at this point I have way too many. 4, buy things on sale that are generally non-perishables or last for a long time, such as butter. Butter in the fridge, it's gonna last a pretty long time, and butter can be pretty expensive, but when it's on sale for a few dollars cheaper, it's a great time to buy it. Or other pantry items or cleaning products or paper products, as long as you have the space for it and you're not hoarding too much, it's best to just buy those when they're on sale. Number 5, freeze meats. And I see this as somebody who, I'm not super picky. I'm not like a food connoisseur, but honestly, sometimes when chicken breast goes on sale, where there's like 5 chicken breasts for like $10-12, which is pretty good, I'll just buy those and then I will saran wrap 2 at a time, because that's generally good for if I'm making a dish. And I'll put them in a freezer bag and I'll put them in the freezer, and I just have stock of some chicken breast that I can defrost and use when I'm cooking. Or I'll do this with ground beef, or Costco does sell like frozen salmon, and you can just have protein or meats in your freezer and ready to use, especially if there's not a good deal on those proteins and meats at the grocery store for the week. I forget what number I'm on, but maybe number 6. Learn to incorporate other proteins other than just meat. So I guess I am speaking to, people who do eat meats. Learn to incorporate things like tofu, beans, even canned tuna. Basically cheaper proteins than just meat, because that's going to help with, getting your protein intake as well as saving money. And also, in my humble opinion, those foods are delicious and it's just going to add to your food options. I guess in a similar vein, number 7, this is very personal to me, but I don't eat that much beef at home. Beef is, for us, the more expensive meat. So, typically I'm getting chicken or pork. And so, I'm able to eat all those foods again, just buying the cheaper meats. And number 8, I think I kind of touched on this with one of the earlier tips about grocery shopping with a list and knowing what you're gonna make, but actually meal plan and keep some of the meals or all of your meals simple. I think simpler meals tend to be less expensive. It's fine to try different dishes. In fact, food is one of the best things in my opinion, but where costs can really add up is if you're buying, say, a particular spice for one meal and then you don't end up using that spice anymore, or a particular sauce, or that one particular item, ingredient. If there are ways to make substitutions using things you already have, that could be a way to save some money. Or maybe instead of doing extravagant meals every day, you do it once a week, or whatever it is for you. But I typically find that keeping my meals pretty simple does save me a lot of money. And I'm very thankful that both me and Edward, we're not too picky, so that definitely helps too. And then number 9, I think snacks are actually so expensive. So I do love snacks, and I even made a video about snacks. And I'm not saying I'm not going to eat snacks anymore. I will, but maybe consider getting those snacks as more of a treat and not getting snacks every time you go grocery shopping. Okay, I'll keep it at that for now. So I will see you at the grocery store. Oi, 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 oi. Alright, so I just finished up at No Frills, and unfortunately, there are already noticeable price increases to some items that I normally get. So, it's a little sad. Another tip I forgot to mention was, this is personally for me. Again, I'm only buying for myself and my husband Edward, so it's only feeding 2 people. And one thing I do is I try only to bring in my reusable bags, and I don't get a cart, partially because I'm lazy too, or even the basket. And that way it reminds me just to buy enough that I feel comfortable carrying around. Of course, sometimes it does get really heavy, and I just consider that as part of a little workout, but I think that helps me from just mindlessly over purchasing and putting things in a cart. And then if I go to visit my parents, usually I'll stay a weekend just because they're a couple hours drive from Toronto. And again, I'm so thankful. My mom, she usually packs me some food, and then some of that food I can even freeze. So I've frozen some things that are ready-made. I've also, if I cook too much of something or there's just a lot of leftovers, then I will also freeze my own meals. And that helps with just getting meals throughout the week, especially when I'm busy. When it comes to freezing things, it doesn't just have to be meats. You can also freeze bread. I've learned after getting married, you can also freeze milk bags. I would say looking at dates is just a huge factor of knowing, how long your food's gonna go for you. So pay attention to the dates on things like meats, cheeses, yogurts, bread. And then of course, everyone's different, and you're gonna have some food items that you don't really want to compromise the quality on. And for someone like me, I really do like my fresh produce, so produce does cost more, but I'm gonna spend more money on that personally. And then I'm not gonna spend as much money on quality meats because if I have to pick, I'd rather spend the money on my fresh produce. Anyways, I have a couple more places to go, but then once I get home, we'll do a grocery haul. Oh, I forgot to say, but I did unfortunately go over my usual kind of like $60 budget. Like I said, I did unfortunately notice some price increases. So that may have had a factor. Also, I did get some things that, you know, I know is gonna last me a couple weeks or longer, hopefully. But I ended up spending close to $70. I think it was like 69 something. All right, so this is my grocery haul. So I got a 10-pound bag of these russet potatoes, and this was actually on sale, so it was $1.99, which is pretty good. I got the club size ground beef. This was $13.77, and it's a little over 1 kilogram. I got 3 pounds of carrots. I think this was like $3.99. I got a green cabbage. This was 99 cents per pound. I ended up getting a carton of milk this time instead of the usual bags, which tend to be a little bit cheaper overall, but realizing that right now I'm just not drinking that much milk, and that was like $5 something. I got some sliced cheese for sandwiches, and you can definitely save by just going for the no-name brand. A couple potatoes, so these were 99 cents per pound. I got 2 English cucumbers, and these were $1 each. I got a can of black beans, and this was a little over $1. I wasn't planning to get this, but I did get some more goat's milk cheese. I've just been really enjoying goat's cheese and having it in salads. So this is supposed to be good until June, I believe. Yeah, June. I did get some romaine lettuce. This was $2.99. I also got shredded cheese, and I personally love the Tex-Mex. And this was also on sale, so it was like $4.40 or something like that. I also got bananas, and bananas are really, really cheap. I think it was like 50 something cents per pound. It's usually, you know, around that range, and it's just a good snack staple to have, or you can have it with your breakfast. I got more bread because we do make sandwiches for lunches, and this is our favorite, or at least my favorite brand of bread. It's called Country Harvest. I also got these strawberries because they were on sale. It was like $1.80 something, which is pretty cheap for strawberries. And then I did get this club pack of lunch meat for the sandwiches. I usually get turkey breast, but this whole pack, it used to be $10 and now it's $11, so that was a little sad. All right, and then I did have to run back inside to get the gravy for this weekend for the shepherd's pie. So I did get 2 of the brown gravy, and they were on sale, so they were only $1 each. So altogether, so the first receipt was $67.02, and the second receipt was exactly $2, so it was pretty much exactly $69. And again, the reason why I didn't buy as many protein items and meats was because I do freeze my meat, so when I'm cooking throughout the week, whatever I've frozen, I'll just take out the portion that I need and then have it that way. I know for sure some of these items are definitely going to last me more than just a week, so you know, for next week's grocery shopping, I won't have to buy things like the lunch meat or the milk or the potatoes, the cheese. So yeah, this is the haul. Thank you so much for watching the video, and please subscribe for more feel good and fun content. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!